Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 378 of the show with no name. I'm your humble host, Nick, and in today's episode, we're going to be back out at the German Methodist Cemetery. And this is part 2 of my documentary series on this cemetery. And I'm going to start this episode off today talking about the Bueller family. And let's start with Jacob Bueller. This is a photo I found of him and his family. And I'll tell you all their names from left to right on the top row. Mina, Lydia, George, Emma, and Maggie. And in the bottom row is Jacob, Oscar, Hulda, Philip, and Mary. And I want to kind of talk about the life and death of Jacob Bueller. And I found an article that was written about him in the Adams County News on June 18th, 1905. And it reads, "The community was shocked last Friday to learn of the sudden death of Jacob Bueller, a pioneer citizen and respected resident of Adams County for the past 14 years. He had been taken to Spokane for a few days before, where he underwent an operation at the Sacred Heart Hospital on Thursday. But he was unable to rally from the ordeal and passed away on Friday, June 23, 1905. He had been a sufferer for the past 2 years with bladder trouble, which was not considered dangerous. Jacob Bueller was born in Berry County, Michigan, on March 1st, 1843, and he was married at Salem, Michigan, to his wife, Mary. 14 years ago, the family came to Adams County, homesteading a choice piece of land 2 miles south of town. With careful industry, economy, and perseverance, they have amassed a large, valuable farm with a fine, comfortable home. Besides a sorrowing wife, 8 children, 3 boys and 5 girls, are left to mourn his loss. He's buried here in the cemetery with his wife, Mary, and I also found an article in the Ritzville Journal on October 2nd, 1919, that spoke about Mary a little bit, and it reads, "In the death of Mrs. Mary C. Bueller, this community lost a worthy woman, one who had been active in the work of the home and of the church, and who leaves the heritage of a noble mother. Mary Catherine, daughter of Jacob and Elizabeth Rapp, was born on March 15, 1855, in Salem, Michigan. She was married in 1894 to Jacob Bueller of Irving, Michigan. This marriage was blessed with 3 sons and 5 daughters. In 1891, the family located in Ritzville, which remained the family home. In June of 1905, Mr. Bueller passed away. Mrs. Bueller continued to live in Ritzville to make her home with her children. For the past 7 years, she had been afflicted with heart trouble, and on Tuesday night, the 16th of September, 1919, at 11:30, she passed away at the age of 64 years, 6 months, and 1 day. Mrs. Bueller was an early member of the church and remained through life a loyal worker in the German Methodist Church. She was well acquainted with the church work and interested in the cause of missions. She is survived by 8 children and 31 grandchildren. Jacob's brother, Adam Bueller, is also buried here, and I found an article written about him in the Washington State Journal and the Ritzville Times on Thursday, January 29th, 1914, and it reads, Adam Bueller, a pioneer minister of the German Methodist Church of this city, was born in Freeport, Michigan on March 17, 1855, and died on January 22, 1914, at Richland, Washington. He was married in 1880 to Rose M. Rad, a sister of Mrs. Mary Bueller of this city. He came west in 1883 and entered the ministry as a German missionary, and had what is now the Inland Empire as his appointment. He traveled from Douglas to Spokane, and from Spokane to Lewiston, Idaho, and almost down as far as Walla Walla. On one of his trips, he came to Ritzville in 1883 and preached the first German sermon that was delivered in this city. He would pass away on January 14th, 1914, at the age of 58. During the latter part of 1913, he started developing a pretty bad cough, and he started getting pretty sick, and he had to move to Richland, Washington to live with his daughter so she can care for him. And he passed away there. But after he died, they shipped his body back up to the cemetery where he could be buried with his brother. His wife, Rose Matilda Bueller, is also buried here, and she was born on February 23rd, 1863 in Michigan, and she died at the home of her daughter in Spokane at the age of 81. She came to Washington with her husband and made it to Spokane Falls in 1884 from Michigan, and she went through all the hardships of a pioneer circuit rider's wife. Nearly all of her life was lived in the Inland Empire, and she lived with her husband on a farm near Ritzville for a time. Adam and Jacob's parents are also buried here, and they were kind of the pioneers that started it all, the whole move from Germany to Washington State. Now, Conrad Bueller, he was born on September 23rd, 1814 in Germany, and he would pass away on May 4th, 1894 at the age of 79 in Washington. And his wife, Mary, she was born sometime in March of 1821 in Germany, and she would pass away in 1906 in Washington, and she was 84 or 85 years old. I couldn't find any pictures of them or news articles or anything like that. All I was able to get for you guys was some pictures of their headstones. But they were the original Buellers that started the great migration from Germany all the way to Washington State, and they are hence buried in the German Methodist Cemetery. Robert Oscar Bueller is also buried here, and I found an article in the Washington Journal and Ritzville Times on August 9th, 1917 that talks about him a little bit. And it reads, Robert Oscar Bueller. Last Saturday morning occurred the death of Robert Oscar Bueller, a 7-month-old son of Mr. and Mrs. Oscar Bueller of Ritzville. When the parents got up in the morning, they found that the baby was dead. A doctor was summoned, and his diagnosis was that the child had died from smothering, having pulled the blankets over his head in such a manner as to shut off air. Funeral services were held Monday afternoon at the Methodist Church. The burial was made in the German Methodist Cemetery 6 miles east of town. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.